The first human they ever tested wasn't afraid. He didn't scream, didn't beg, didn't even flinch. Instead, he smiled. Every scan they ran, every probe they pushed into his mind, only made him stronger. And when they tried to break him, he showed them something that terrified an entire species. What they saw, they can never unsee. And you are about to find out why the first human they tested was the last one they ever dared touch. Welcome to Predator Protocol, where we bring you the untold, the dangerous, the stories they don't want you to hear. I'm your storyteller tonight, the voice that walks you through the shadows and the stars. And trust me, this one, you'll remember it. Let's begin the story. The cold blue light wrapped around him like an invisible cage. Jack Ryder sat on the smooth, glowing surface of the alien bed, his boots resting heavy on the edge, one leg slightly swinging. 5 tall figures surrounded him. Their skin shimmered with a faint purple glow, muscles tight beneath it, every movement precise, almost too perfect. Their large black eyes never blinked. Their heads tilted in unison, as if studying a strange animal they had never seen before. And maybe that's exactly what they thought he was. But Jack didn't slouch. He didn't curl up in fear. He leaned back like a man waiting for a slow bartender, hands loose, shoulders relaxed. The corner of his mouth curved into a smile that didn't belong in a room like this. One alien stepped forward, taller than the rest, her body sleek, curves subtle but undeniable even under that shimmering skin. Her gaze scanned over him, a faint hum in the air as a beam of blue light passed up and down his body. Jack's voice cut through the silence. "You could have just asked if you wanted a good look, sweetheart." A strange ripple passed between the aliens. Not sound, not movement, just something in the air. The female tilted her head, as if his words were unexpected. Behind her, 2 human scientists in white lab coats watched, fingers tapping across holographic panels. They didn't meet his eyes. The scan ended with a soft chime. The female's eyes narrowed. Her voice was low, melodic, but with an edge. "Subject shows no elevated fear levels." Jack chuckled. "That's because I've been on worse dates." No one laughed, but he could have sworn the female's lips twitched for a second. The tallest alien male stepped forward now, his voice like steel scraping glass. "We begin the probe." A panel descended from the ceiling, metallic arms unfolding, each tipped with strange glowing nodes. The air smelled of ozone. Jack's smile didn't fade. "If this is some alien hair salon, I'm telling you now, I'm not paying for the trim." The first pulse hit him, a flash of light in his mind, sharp and invasive, like someone rifling through his deepest secrets. They expected panic. They expected screams. What they got was laughter. It started low, deep in his chest, and rolled out into the cold room. The aliens glanced at each other, the female taking a half step forward, as if drawn in by the sound. Inside the mental link, Jack's memories unfolded. Bar fights in smoky rooms, the taste of whiskey, the roar of engines, and moments far more private, moments that made 2 of the male aliens quickly break eye contact. The female didn't look away. If anything, she leaned in. "You're enjoying this," she said softly. Jack met her gaze. "Maybe. You're just not used to a human who fights back." The pulse increased, digging deeper into his mind. More memories spilled. The thrill of danger, the rush of attraction, the heat of lips against his in the dark. One of the male aliens hissed, "This mind, it's chaos, desire, violence." Jack grinned wider. "And you've barely scratched the surface, champ." The female's fingers twitched at her side, her eyes locked on him in a way that wasn't entirely scientific anymore. Something about his defiance, his confidence, it didn't fit the patterns they knew. Another pulse. This one harder. It should have knocked him out. Instead, Jack tilted his head, his smirk sharpening. "You keep poking around in there. You might find something you like." The female froze for a moment. The male beside her made a guttural noise, stepping closer to the controls. Increase the depth. Push further. The scientists hesitated. Sir, the readings, do it. The light around Jack intensified, wrapping him in a cage of pure energy. His body tensed, but then he laughed again, louder this time. The laughter echoed off the metallic walls, and in that sound, there was no fear, only challenge. The female's breathing changed. Her gaze lingered a fraction too long, and somewhere deep inside her mind, she wondered what it would be like to lose to him. But the male didn't notice. His hand slammed the control. The next surge was coming, stronger than anything they had used before. Jack's eyes locked on the female's. Hope you're ready, princess. Because the next moment, something happened that none of them saw coming. The energy beam around Jack hummed louder, hotter. It crawled over his skin, seeping into his muscles, into his mind. Most beings collapsed at this stage. Jack just sat there, tilting his head, like he was letting them play their little game. The male A, lying at the controls, bared his teeth. He should be broken by now, but he wasn't. If anything, Jack's smirk had only deepened. Is this your idea of foreplay? Because I've had wilder Friday nights. The female's eyes flickered, her head tilted slightly, as if trying to hide the fact she understood the human's tone. What is foreplay? She asked, her voice slow and curious. Jack grinned wider. Oh, sweetheart, that's something you don't ask in public. One of the males hissed, stop interacting with the subject. But she didn't move away. The mental probe pushed deeper. Jack's memories shifted, now showing reckless adventures, close calls with death, and flashes of heat between bodies. The female blinked slowly, her gaze sharpening. For a moment, she seemed lost in whatever she was seeing. His mind is dangerous, one of the aliens muttered. It tempts. It pulls. Jack chuckled under his breath. Careful. If you stay in here too long, you might not want to leave. Her eyes locked with his, a beat of silence. Even the humming machines seemed to fade for that 1 second. Then, the male slammed the control harder, flooding the probe with raw power. Jack's head jerked back from the surge, but when his gaze snapped forward again, his smirk was still there. And now, his voice was darker. You think you're inside my head, but maybe I'm inside yours. The female flinched. Her breathing quickened. Somewhere deep in her mind, she wondered how a human could feel so close, without even touching her. The male barked an order. Begin physical tests. The beam cut off. 2 tall aliens stepped forward, holding strange metallic rods. They moved fast, one aiming for his ribs, the other for his legs. Jack didn't even try to dodge the first hit. The rod cracked against his side, and he just grinned. That tickles. The second rod swung, but Jack's hand shot up, cat-wise, ching it mid-strike. The alien holding it froze. Jack's grip tightened, his eyes still locked on the female. You see, you can measure my body all you want, but you'll never measure what makes me human. For a moment, no one spoke. The female's lips parted, like she was about to ask something she shouldn't. But then, the male snapped his claws together. Enough! Bring in the mind breaker! The room shifted. A tall shadow stepped out from the back, broader, darker, radiating an aura that made even the other aliens step back. His eyes glowed a deep, burning red. Jack tilted his head. Now this guy looks fun. The mindbreaker stopped in front of him, bending down until their eyes were level. His voice was a low growl. I will tear your mind apart, and when I am done, there will be nothing left of you. Jack's smirk didn't fade. Instead, he leaned in slightly and whispered, Careful, big guy. You might like what you find in there. The mindbreaker's eyes narrowed, and the room's lights dimmed. The next test was about to begin. And for the first time, the female alien wasn't sure if she wanted him to lose or win. The Mindbreaker's shadow stretched across the floor, swallowing Jack in its outline. The air grew heavier, like invisible hands pressing against everyone's chest. Even the human scientists backed away from the platform, their eyes locked on the towering alien. Jack just leaned back, watching him like he was sizing up an opponent in a poker game. "So, you're the big boss?" The Mindbreaker didn't answer. Instead, his clawed hand rose slowly, and the lights in the room dimmed even further. A low hum filled the air, not from the machines, but from inside their heads. It was starting. The connection slammed into Jack's mind like a tidal wave. Images, thoughts, and emotions were ripped from his memories and thrown into the alien's awareness. Most beings screamed in the first few seconds. Jack grinned. "You like that?" he said inside the link, his voice echoing in the alien's head. "Hold on, I've got better stuff." Suddenly, the Mindbreaker was surrounded by Jack's life, the rush of riding a motorcycle at 150 miles per hour, the crack of a pool cue in a smoky bar, the heat of a woman's hand sliding under his shirt. The alien stiffened. He had broken hundreds of minds, but he had never felt this. The female alien watched closely. Her breathing quickened again, eyes flicking between Jack and the Mindbreaker. She could feel some of what was bleeding through the link, and it wasn't what their species considered appropriate. Jack's voice was louder now, teasing. "Not used to this kind of chaos, are you? Not used to someone enjoying the ride?" The Mindbreaker tried to push deeper, but the deeper he went, the stranger it became. Instead of fear, he found temptation. Instead of pain, he found desire. And buried under it all, a fire that didn't burn out. One of the other males muttered, "This is not possible. No subject resists this long." Jack's grin turned almost predatory. "You came here to take control of me, but maybe I'm the one taking control of you." The Mindbreaker's claws trembled. A drop of sweat slid down the side of his face, something no one had ever seen before. The female alien took a slow step forward. "What are you doing to him?" she asked quietly. Jack's eyes shifted toward her, his smirk curling higher. "Just showing him what being human feels like." And then he pushed back. For the first time in the history of the Mindbreaker's reign, the target's thoughts flooded into the alien with more force than they came out. The alien stumbled back half a step, breaking the rhythm. Everyone froze. No one dared move. No one dared speak. Jack leaned forward in his seat, his voice calm, deadly calm. "Your turn, big guy. Let's see if you can handle it." The Mindbreaker's red eyes narrowed. And then, in a move no one expected, he reached out, not to attack, but to grip Jack's face with both hands. The surge that came next was unlike anything the room had ever felt. The air shimmered, the lights flickered, and the female alien's heart raced for reasons she didn't understand. And then, Jack's grin faded. Just for a moment. The Mindbreaker's grip was like iron, but his eyes, those burning red eyes, were no longer filled with pure control. They were searching, hunting for something in Jack's mind. And Jack knew it. He didn't fight the mental grip. Instead, he let the alien see exactly what he wanted him to see. The heat of skin against skin, the rush of a stolen kiss, the pulse of adrenaline in the middle of danger. He let it play like a highlight reel, every scene hotter, closer, sharper. The female alien's fingers curled at her side. She could feel the edge of those thoughts, even though she wasn't inside the link. Her chest rose a little faster. The Mindbreaker's claws twitched. His breathing slowed, his grip loosened. Jack tilted his head, just enough to break the tension, and whispered, "Careful, keep watching, and you'll start wanting more." The alien jerked back, snarling, but there was no denying the moment of hesitation. The male at the control panel slammed a fist down. "Switch to physical endurance! Now!" Two towering guards stepped forward, their bodies bulkier, armored in strange organic plating. They each held rods that sparked with bright blue energy. Jack stood this time, slowly, stretching his shoulders as if he'd just woken up from a nap. Finally, something I can hit back. One swung for his ribs. Jack twisted just enough for it to graze him, then caught the second strike coming for his neck. The rod hummed in his grip, the blue light dancing across his skin. The guard tried to pull it free. Jack didn't let go. "You know," Jack said, glancing toward the female, "if you wanted to see me sweat, you could have just asked." Her lips parted slightly. The male aliens ignored the tone, but she heard the meaning. The second guard lunged. Jack sidestepped, letting the alien's momentum carry him into the wall with a hard thud. The first guard tried again, only for Jack to swing the captured rod and crack it against his attacker's side. The room fell silent for a beat. A human had just overpowered their physical testers. Jack tossed the rod to the floor with a lazy smirk. "Hope you've got something harder than that." The male at the controls bared his teeth. "Oh, we do." From the far side of the room, the walls split open. A new figure emerged, taller than the guards, built like living stone, eyes glowing a deep silver. Its arms ended in long, clawed blades. The female alien's gaze flicked between Jack and the monster stepping forward. She didn't speak, but something in her posture had changed. A tension, a pull. Jack rolled his neck, cracking it once to the left, once to the right. He didn't step back. He smiled, not like a man facing a threat, but like someone being dared. "Well, guess it's my turn to play." The silver-eyed creature let out a low, rumbling growl and charged. The silver-eyed creature moved like a storm, faster than its massive size should allow. Claws cut through the air, slicing just inches from Jack's chest. He didn't retreat. He stepped into the attack, letting the blade skim his jacket, the leather smoking where it touched. "Nice nails," Jack said with a smirk, "but they're not going to impress the ladies unless you know how to use them." The female alien's gaze sharpened. Her lips twitched, almost a smile, before she quickly masked it. The monster swung again. Jack ducked, then rolled to the side, grabbing a piece of fallen metal from the earlier fight. The weight felt right in his hand. He spun it once, eyes locking on the creature. "Let's dance." The next clash was brutal. Metal rang against claws, sparks flying in bright arcs. Jack's arms burned from the force of the impacts, but he pushed back, refusing to give ground. The alien guards watched, whispering in their own language. No one had ever lasted more than a few seconds against the silver-eyed beast. Jack had already made it past a minute. The female stepped closer to the edge of the platform. "Why does he not yield?" she murmured to no one in particular. One of the male aliens growled, "Because humans don't know when they are beaten." Jack heard it. He grinned through the sweat and adrenaline. Not beaten, just getting started. The creature lunged, jaws opening wide. Jack sidestepped, spinning the metal bar in a tight arc, smashing it against the side of its head. The beast stumbled, only for a second, but it was enough for the room to gasp. Jack leaned on the bar like it was a pool cue, glancing at the female. "You watching this, princess? Because I'd hate for you to miss my good side." Her eyes held his for a heartbeat too long. The male at the controls snarled. "Enough games! End him!" The silver-eyed creature roared, its claws crossing in, front of its chest, glowing brighter with every passing second. Energy crackled around its body, and Jack felt the floor vibrate under his boots. The female's eyes widened. "That's a kill strike," she whispered. Jack's smirk faded just slightly, but his voice stayed steady. "Good." I was getting bored. The beast's body blurred forward, faster than anything he'd seen yet. Jack braced himself. And then, the silver-eyed beast blurred forward, a streak of glowing claws and rage. The air cracked as it closed the distance. Most beings would have frozen. Jack moved into it. The first claw swiped toward his chest. Jack twisted, feeling the heat of the energy pass just close enough to burn the fabric of his shirt. The second claw came for his head. He dropped low, sweeping his leg out, catching the monster's ankle. It stumbled. Not much, but enough. Jack was already moving. The metal bar in his hand came up in a tight arc, smashing into the creature's jaw with a sound like breaking stone. The beast staggered back 2 steps, shaking its head. "Wow," Jack said, panting slightly but still grinning. "You hit hard, but you take a hit even worse." The female alien's eyes were locked on him now. She wasn't just observing, she was watching. Her lips were parted, and her gaze followed every move he made. The beast roared again, claws flashing in the dim light. It lunged, faster, angrier. Jack didn't back away. He sidestepped at the last second, grabbing its arm mid-swing, and spun with the momentum. The monster's body slammed into the wall with a thundering crack. Gasps filled the room. One of the male aliens muttered, "Impossible." Jack still had the beast's arm in his grip. He leaned in close to its ear, if it even had ears, and whispered, "You should have bought me dinner first." The female made a sound, a quick, sharp exhale, as if trying not to react. But a mind breaker. He was reacting. His red eyes narrowed, but not in anger, in calculation. He was studying Jack differently now. The silver-eyed beast pushed off the wall with a sudden burst of strength, throwing Jack backward. Jack rolled with it, landing on one knee, breathing hard. The male at the control panel slammed his hand down. "End it now! Kill him!" The beast roared, raising both claws over its head. The glow intensified, blinding white now, humming with lethal energy. Jack looked straight at the female alien. "Tell me, princess, if I survive this, are you finally going to tell me your name?" She froze. Her lips pressed together, but she didn't say no. The beast came down with all its strength. The floor shook. A blinding flash filled the room, and when the light cleared, the light faded, and the room fell silent. The silver-eyed beast stood frozen, both claws buried deep into the platform where Jack had been. But Jack wasn't there. A slow, deliberate voice broke the silence from behind the monster. "Missed me." The beast's head snapped around. Too slow. Jack's arm was already locked around its throat, his other hand holding the metal bar like a blade. In one smooth move, he twisted, using its own size and weight against it. The beast crashed to the floor with a deafening thud. The metal bar pressed against its neck. "Yield," Jack said. It didn't move. He pressed harder. Finally, the glowing in its eyes dimmed. The fight was over. Gasps rippled through the room. The male at the control panel stared in disbelief. "This is not possible." Jack let the bar fall and stood over the defeated creature. "You might want to write this down," he said casually, "because it's probably the only time you're going to see a human kick your monster's ass." The female alien's eyes stayed locked on him. There was no longer any mask in her expression, only open curiosity and something more dangerous. The mindbreaker stepped forward, his red eyes burning into Jack's. "You are not what we expected." Jack smirked. "Get used to disappointment." A low alarm began to hum through the walls. Someone had triggered a security lock. The 2 human scientists looked up nervously. "We can't hold him here much longer. He's destabilizing the link." The mindbreaker's gaze didn't move from Jack. "You were brought here to be tested. But now, I am not certain who is testing who." Jack stepped down from the platform, walking toward the female. He stopped close enough for her to see the faint scar along his jaw, close enough for her to feel the heat coming off his skin. "So, do I finally get your name?" Her lips curved, the smallest smile. "If you escape, I'll tell you." He leaned in, his voice a low whisper only she could hear. "Then I guess I'd better escape." The alarms grew louder, the guards moved forward, but the female stepped slightly into their path. It was subtle, but Jack saw it. She wasn't stopping them outright. She was slowing them. The mindbreaker tilted his head, watching her. Watching him. Then, he did something no one expected. He said, "Let him try." Jack's smirk widened. "Oh, I will." And with that, he moved, fast, unpredictable, human, cutting through the chaos as the room erupted around him. Whether he made it out, whether she followed, no one in that room would ever forget the day they tried to break a human and ended up breaking themselves.